Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Cocoa in the Sun podcast, where we continue our readings of the Hathor Material by Tom Kenyon. Believe we are on chapter 7. I am your host, Malaika Krishna, and I'm very happy to be here with you today. Okay, so I like to share the little things before, just in case you don't want to wait till after. But now I'm wondering if I should share it after in case you just want a reading of the book and don't want the extra stuff. So you can kind of like cut it out. So I don't know. um, I will say that so far the journey for me appears to be love, starting with love of self, which then extends to love to others and other beings such as animals and plants. And that I believe there is an infinite deepening to said love. And that the love deepening, which will be shown through forgiving and non-judgment and wanting to serve yourself and by extension, share what you like doing with others, right? That leads to, I believe, the opening of gifts. Some people call it soul gifts, but like the clear stuff, the clairs, I think. But to me, it looks like it's a gradual process, and that the loving of self and others, but the loving of self really is an ongoing um an ongoing experience as to you learn different things about yourself that you love, different aspects of your being. And a lot of it you can intention for, or you can want to, but honestly, like it kind of comes like naturally, like things I didn't like about myself before. Now I look at it, I'm like, I love that. I'm talking about like physical stuff. But not just physical stuff, like mental stuff, emotional stuff, like the way your brain works, the way that you think, the stuff that you're interested in. Like you just love yourself, like, and you're just really grateful for yourself. That extends to others. I'm like truly, it gives such an inner joy and contentedness and peace. So the key really is the love of self. It's the simplest aspect, and that unfolds in a joyful way. And so the joy leads you further down the path. There is some rough stuff, of course. So, like I talked about in the last episode, like the clearing of past situations, understanding. We said you could say clearing, but like understanding it from a different perspective. And I would say not as close up, but like a little further back so you can see how everybody's responding and how it kind of feeds off each other to lead to other misunderstandings. But that those misunderstandings are actually needed because they lead you to go inside where it all begins. So it's like internal to external, but the external leads you to the internal, then back to the external in a more enjoyable, joy-filled, whole-filled, loving way. So it is a curious experience, but I am enjoying the experience. I think one of the keys to unlocking stuff as well, once you get into the I think the clearing and the understanding of self never ends, right? Like, because when they say multidimensionality, we have had like so many lives and experiences, or are having, because I saw a video the other day about parallel lives. that I feel like we are always going to be learning, right? And that actually is um what keeps the process interesting, I think. I'm trying to find like the right words. Okay, so there comes a point of once you figure out what your optimal is, like where you feel best, then you want to maintain it there. Then what happens is, I believe you have to, as the Palladians mentioned, master yourself. And what they mean by that, I think, what I'm experiencing, because I am now going through all of this, so I don't have all the answers. I'm still figuring it out, and I won't know for sure until I get to the next side of it. But while I'm in it, it feels like once you figure out like where you feel best and you want to maintain it there, because it feels like it's integrated. Like once you discover, oh, this feels good, and then like it drops again. It feels good and it drops again. It feels good. And it feels more good than it feels drops, like it dips, right? More good than it dips. More good than more good than it dips. And what happens is how that occurs is the things that occur in your life that kind of give you like stresses or situations that could cause you to panic or live in fear, or not have these emotions that don't feel good, right? You learn how to move through them in a way that doesn't prolong it. So you learn from it. You learn like what you need to learn from the situation and process whatever wisdom you can from it. You learn how to look at it objectively. You learn how to look at it and acknowledge it and love it and embrace it, whatever the issues are, and how to get back to what feels like your normal self, like where you feel good at. And so I think like the better you get at doing that, and that takes time. Well, it took time for me. It may not take time for you because again, everybody's journey is different. And people come in with different knowledge and I think different understandings and stuff like that, right? Different lessons and all of that. So for me, it's taking some time to master it. But I have noticed that there is improvement of when stuff happens that should trigger a little tumble. The tumble is shorter if it happens at all, because I'm usually able to recognize, oh, this is helping me master myself and my frequency. Frequency being my good feelings, my good vibes. Feeling at peace, feeling content, being able to see the beauty, the love in almost everything, being able to see the understandings and learnings in everyday life, feeling connected, feeling loved, feeling joy, you know? So that's like keeping my frequency or mastering myself. I know what that feels like, what I like to feel like. And when something occurs that is a little, you know, unexpected and not promoting that feeling, I can recognize it a little bit sooner now. Sometimes it used to be all the way in and be like, oh, I have to find my way back to that. This is teaching me how to do that. But now I can kind of recognize it a lot faster and go through the process. What helps me get back there? First of all, I have to acknowledge the feeling, why I have the feeling, and that where I am in the process, it's normal to have that feeling and not feel like, oh my God, I'm still not getting it. No. So I acknowledge it. And I do look at it. I say, well, considering what's going on and what's happening in your external and what you're trying to figure out, like it's okay to be like, this is a lot, or it's taking so long, or it's okay to worry about like certain aspects of your living, right? So I acknowledge it. And then And then I'm like, well, okay, but this is strengthening my resolve, right? It's helping me to focus on what I want. It's helping me to build faith. Um, so it's a lesson. And I that tends to lighten it. And then I find myself naturally thinking about things that feel good to me, or doing something that feels good, or eating something that feels good, going for a walk, or doing my watercolors, or looking at a YouTube video, or just thinking, or maybe listening to some angel frequency. But it's never done to purposely get me out of it. It just happens that I do these things and I feel good because I like doing it or whatever. So it kind of, I don't, it don't happen. As look at the situation, look at myself in the situation, look what it's teaching me, right? And then naturally I start thinking about something else that I just naturally gravitate to that feels good. It's not like, oh, I don't want to feel like this. Let me suppress it or not think about it and change my thought pattern. It doesn't seem to work like that for me, because then what happens is the feeling will return. Probably like the same day. Sometimes too, like the feeling's like kind of short. So sometimes I do forget. Like, so I have this dip and then I'll find myself preoccupied with something and I forget. And I just move on and the day goes by. And then it'll come back again and be like, oh, well, let me look at this. Why am I feeling like this? Let me acknowledge it. Let me try to transmute it, and then I move on to something else. But I think that it's okay too to like be like, um, okay, I don't want to feel like this. Let me think of something else and try to get yourself out of it. It doesn't naturally happen like that for me. I think I have an issue myself with like, I don't want to say discipline, but doing things to get a result, kind of. So like, they have like meditation. I'm not really good at meditation, but I'm good at sitting in the quiet and listening to nature sounds and looking at the sunset. And that kind of puts me there, right? Or I'm good at waking up in the morning and just sitting by myself, and that kind of takes me there too. Or going to the park for a walk or not listening to any music and kind of like naturally getting there by myself. But it's not like um a practice. It's more of things that I enjoy doing and I just want to do it. I think if I have to do something because I have to do it to get to a certain point, I usually am not consistent. And but that's me. Like some people that works, a lot of people that works for, like a lot of people. I just like for me, like I don't do it for very long. I could say I want to do it, but I won't be successful. Right. So like I wouldn't be successful doing it, but it does work for a lot of people, and anybody that could do it, like kudos to you. I just really admire people that can consider that. But so that doesn't work for me. Like I'm not able to just, okay, I don't want to feel like this. Let me start thinking of something else. No. What works for me is, okay, let me look at it, try to understand what's going on here and stuff. And then my mind just naturally goes to something else. Or sometimes, like I was saying, like sometimes it's like a fleeting thought, and my mind wanders on its own to something else that I'm interested in and I'm excited to do. And I forget about it. And then it comes up later in the day. So that. So anyway, I also got the understanding. Again, remember, guys, I'm going through this myself. So I'm not on the next side of it yet to say that what I'm saying works. I'm just saying, like, I'm just also documenting for myself, like the different stages I'm in. So like maybe 5 years from now when I want to look at this, to understand something I can. So that's also like what's going on here with me with these little podcasts. But um understood like the mastering of your frequency or your feelings, of not being um rocked easily, right? Like that is integral to how you build out. So that I think that's like one of the hardest aspects of it, and one of the aspects of it that takes the longest, which was really frustrating and is still. It takes the longest because it's like one of the foundational building blocks in order to, as you expand your relationships, right? As you discover, just as you're discovering yourself, if you are in relationship with another, like your divine partner, right? Whoever that is. Um, as the two of you discover stuff about each other and then discover about who you guys are together, right? And figure out what your frequency is together. First, you have to know what your frequency is by yourself to attract a compatible frequency for a partner, I think. And then, so the process begins again, but by two. And I believe, because I don't have one yet, but I think that's how it works. And then you have to figure out like who you are together, what your frequency is, like what feels good for both of you, like, and then when things come to rocket, I'm sorry, my digestive system. When things come to rocket, how to observe what's going on together, an objective manner, which wouldn't, I don't think, happen in the beginning, right? Because emotions and stuff like that, that's what being human is. Like we have a lot of emotions and feelings and they're kind of intense. But because we would have learned how to do that for ourselves when you're in the relationship, probably at first we would have a little time figuring that out. But once that's done, what will happen would be the same thing when that frequency is rocked by circumstances or situations, you would be able to find your way back to the center. So that's why you have to understand how to do it yourself. And because I feel like that will happen again, like you'll have to have developed faith there as well in situations. And I think then that expands probably to other relationships you have in building from that relationships, right? That relationship and how those building blocks extend the network and how we interact with each other and the connection with each other, not just the divine partner, but now the other friendships and relationships and business relationships and all of this will be affected. I think it affects all aspects of life because our life is relationship or connection based. So we would start to learn now how to look at situations with other people, how to maintain relationships and stuff like that based on our own relationship with ourselves, our divine partner, and then expanding out from there. Other beings, I mean, that is possible, right? I mean, I don't know for sure, but sounds like it. I think that's how it works. I think. Yeah, so anyway, that's what I got the other night. Like, I really am at the phase of mastering myself, which means like all the stuff that's going on now that is frustrating me or might be taking a long time. Because remember, I think I said that I saw somewhere that because I was exhausted with the process, right? And I saw like a video and it was saying that you're learning lessons for when that creation comes, you're able to deal with what comes with it. This is the phase that you're in. And then so like when I did that video, like the next night or like a couple nights later, I understood, yes, but what it really is learning how to those lessons that you're learning, right? Which is lessons, but it's really teaching you how to get back to your self, your peace, your joy, that your optimal self, where you enjoy being your frequency. It's really teaching you that. So that's why it looks like that. And that's why it takes so long because it's building your faith. It's teaching you to trust what you know that you want, that you know that's right for you. And stuff that. It's teaching you to trust your intuition. It's teaching you to move or take inspired action when the action comes. And then like when there's no action that's coming, to be still and to be, all of that. But anyway, so that's what I got. Mastering yourself is a foundational stone, a foundational cornerstone before the stuff comes, the life that you want to come, because that life that you want could come with stuff that could rock it. And if you're not secure in what's for you, or what you want, you'll be rocked with it. You got to be like kind of firm. I actually think though, once you learn to do this, it's really a lot simpler moving forward, because you kind of able to identify it and move through it faster. So it just like flows. But the beginning is really hard because they don't tell you that. You don't really know. I would have to say that, although I read it in the book like a few weeks ago, sorry. Like what really helps me is whatever information they give me at the time that I need it in my dreams or just before I wake up, that kind of thing. That's been like really helpful, because it feels like at every stage I'm at and questioning like, why am I? A day or two, maybe a week later, I do get a response. I feel like I get a response after I decide to continue to have faith and believe, then I'll get an answer. So I think they don't tell me before, just to make sure organically I am believing, and that is my choice to believe. And then once I make that choice, then they let me know, okay, this is where you're at, until something else comes. I don't know what's after the building faith and mastering yourself is. I don't know, but that's where it is. Also, like I had like the understanding too in another dream that the process has not been. I remember like last year being, oh my God, I can't wait to just like go through all of this and just know everything. Because first of all, you don't know all the stages you have to go through, right? I mean, people tell you, and they have these really good YouTube videos. On the next episode, maybe I'll show you the YouTube videos that I follow, the YouTube channels that help me. Yeah, maybe I'll do that next episode. But you really don't know how layered the process is. It's so many like in between things. By the way, I had a dream to help clear some traumas the other day. So I'm still getting that. I'm still clearing stuff, dreams or thoughts coming up, and I still like just randomly things that I like forgot about and I'm like upset about again. So it's just working out that it's kind of happening in tandem now. It's not just one thing, right? So it could be a dream clearing or teaching me some kind of multidimensional wisdom or some kind of past life. Or a dream can also clear past traumas. Like I had one that helped explain an aspect of a relationship that I had with a family member last night. And I was like, yo, I never saw it from that angle. I would have been too young though to see it from that angle, And yeah, but it was good to see it like that. I have so much more love for that person and for myself. Yeah. Anyway, so that's still going on. Whether it's like stuff that's bought, like just pops up that I need to clear, or dream stuff that's clearing, and stuff in real life that's clearing. I had a conversation with another family member today, and wasn't a bad conversation. It was an honest, authentic one, and filled with love. But wasn't an easy conversation either, you know, and learning how to maneuver that, how to be love and sensitive to others' feelings, but also be honest about how I feel and authentic and true to myself, right? So learning how to do that. And also learning if they're not receptive, that they not being upset by that, you know, being okay with, okay, this is a lot for them to process too. And they have their own processing system and processing time. And that's totally okay and being okay with that. So I'm still learning. I'm learning in all the ways that I could learn. Oh, it have me learning all the ways I could learn. But yeah, so going back to how layered the process is when it starts. I remember when it started, say like after the QHHT hypnosis, right? And then when you finally figure out, okay, well, I never thought awakening. That was not anywhere near my vocabulary. Like, you know, the QHHT really was so that I could understand why I wasn't very affectionate, getting a deeper understanding of myself and finding out how my past lives played into this life that I was living and what I was here for, like questions like why didn't I have a partner and stuff like that. And it answered that and some. And I think it began the process of all of this, right? Although I think I was heading to it before, because, you know, 2016, 2017, I started not working for jobs that I wasn't happy and not feeling trapped that way. That's another discussion. But anyway, since the QHHT thing, I was like, I just want to get to the next side of being my best self then and living my best life. And not knowing all that it involved and how it would unfold. None of it. Nothing about dreams or multidimensionality or feeling lighter, different perspectives, seeing things from a view of love, not feeling such a dense feeling of right and wrong, like all of these expanded thoughts that I have been having, the way that I love myself and how I view myself and how I view others, none of it kind of, I didn't know what none of that was. All I knew was I wanted to be the next side of my better self. I just wanted to get it done, right? Like, I thought the QHHT thing may have done it. It was just the beginning, just the beginning. And it never really ends. But it's such a beautiful process. Like, it's just, as I was thinking about it, I was like, yo, I can't believe like I want this to be so fast. When in fact, what it is a savoring of an unfolding of self and all the beauty and love there is in the world. And why would you want to speed that up? Wouldn't you want to enjoy every layer that you open, every gift that you open, every new thing that you learn? When you want some time to love it up and feel it and feel all the good feelings of it? Yes, there's some bad feelings when you're clearing stuff, yes. But getting to the next side of it is such a relief and it's so light. And I was like, you know, I don't want to rush the process anymore. Whatever this process is and wherever it takes me, it's going to be beautiful. So while I was impatient to create the reality that I wanted, when I think about it, the reality that I wanted will be even more beautiful if I'm prepared for it the way I am being prepared for it. I'll give you an example. If I were to meet my divine partner 2 years ago, 1 year ago, 6 months ago, I don't think his experience of me would be as good as it could be now. And probably when he does enter my life, the progress I would have made from now to then I would be even more truly myself, I would have learned more about myself and be much freer with myself, right? With my sharing of myself with him, my thoughts, my feelings, I wouldn't diminish myself or make things small and limited, right? Like it's unlimited and limitless. So I'm grateful for all of it because it's like if I had met him 6 months ago, I wouldn't have be as outspoken as I am. I wouldn't have learned all the things that I have learned in this process to even talk about because there's so much to talk about. Not just experiences that I've had, the dreams and the understandings that have come, but also all the different theories that I've looked up and all the different books that I've looked into and all these things to talk about, right? And then the freedom of my self-expression, not just verbally, but physically, mentally, emotionally, and I'm thinking spiritually too, you know. It would just be I think a really more loving and fulfilling experience for both of us. So I think it occurs how it's supposed to occur, and the universe or God, the all, the angels, the guides, the awareness, your eternal self, all yourselves, know what they're doing. They know what you're doing. They know what they're doing, right? We don't know because we can't see in this human aspect. But I guess if we trust, it's got to be good, man, because it's been good so far. Like I was saying the other day, like how do I know the stuff that I'm learning and experiencing isn't bad for me, right? And because I thought about that person that set themselves on fire again, the Trump trial, and I was like, okay, how do I know that that person, I couldn't have been that person based on the things that I'm learning? Like, how do I know? How do I know? And I was like, everything that I have learned or experienced that's not been my regular experience, my other 46 years of living this life has been good. Like all the things that I've um been shown, whether through dreams or feelings or thoughts or movies or books, are things that enhance my life and make me feel less judgmental, less angry, less enclosed, less fearful. They all are more expansive than contracting. So that's how I know it's good. That's how I know it's good. You know? So and discernment of knowing what's good for you and what's not good for you, you know? I don't know. I just feel like that's just how I know. That's, like it feels good. It feels expansive. It feels like I want to be kind to those I can be kind to those that energies are not compatible, still wish them so much love. And eventually, I believe my energy will be compatible with all. I think it's a process and it's an integration, and that will keep expanding. But I have to be careful of ensuring that, what doesn't feel good, being aware of it, and also, making sure my energy stays where I want it to be, making sure I'm at the center, making sure I'm mastering myself. Sometimes mastering myself would be removing myself from someone that may not be in a good place and not open to my energy. But sometimes it will be someone that's not in a good place. But is open to my energy and I want to help, and they're open to me just sitting with them and not having to say anything or talking about something that's interesting to them that I also want to talk about with them. You know what I mean? So it all depends. It all depends. But I think this expands more and more as I learn more and more to love myself, you know? But loving myself is putting myself first and my feelings and my energy until it can do what it can do, not forcing it before it's ready or before it's grown to that level, because it could diminish it and bring me back down. Although that could probably be a lesson on how to get back to it, maybe that will occur too. I don't know. Anyway, so I did a lot of talking again. I have so many things to say. Chapter 7, stabilizing the chaos. I can see how big the chapter is. I think I'm gonna put on my glasses today. Well, the chapter big as usual. I'm gonna try to do the whole thing though, as per usual. I always say maybe I won't be able to. All right, guys, let's get crack-a-lackin', okay? Chapter 7, stabilizing and chaos. Oh, we were just talking about mastering of self. What? It always coincides. And let me tell you, it's not planned. Like I forgot what chapter 7 was about. I had this dream the other night and I was like, should I talk about it or should I not talk about it? You know? And I decided to talk about it. And look at what the chapter is. Okay, chapter 7, stabilizing in chaos. Your earth, as we have previously said, is passing through a monumental and historic time. A time in which energies are fluctuating at rates heretofore never experienced by humanity. It has to do with the passage of a new vibration. And as Earth moves from the old into the new, she's moving from an old way of organizing herself into a new way of organizing herself. Earth, as we are referring to her now, is a conscious living being. And all beings must respond to the fluctuation that is occurring as Earth moves upward in her own evolution. You are riding, so to speak, upon Earth's evolutionary thrust forward, and you have chosen to be here at this time so that you could experience these unprecedented changes. Many of these changes are chaotic in nature and especially challenging to your emotional body. Consequently, many of you are experiencing greater emotional volatility at the surface of awareness than ever before. This is likely to continue for some time as Earth moves through this transition phase of chaos into a new order. Whenever any system moves from one level of order to a higher level, there's a period of chaos in which perturbation or disturbances are on the increase. This is now occurring on your planet so that all levels, atomic, molecular, biological, geological, social, economic, etc., are in states of flux or change. Of course, your own inner reality is affected too, especially your own emotional response to people and things around you. There are many ways to move into a greater mastery of your emotions during these chaotic times. And we would share with you one particular approach of value. We view you, as we mentioned previously, as a multidimensional energy system. Therefore, what we would share with you is a method to help you deal with your own energy in such a way that your emotional body becomes more stable through this period of tremendous transition. As described earlier, this method involves moving awareness into the pranic tube the central column that extends from above the head through the central part of the body and down into the earth. For example, if you find yourself in a difficult situation emotionally, then the immediate shift of your awareness into the pranic tube will greatly help. This shift allows the prana to move through the pranic tube more freely, changing your breath in a way that allows a greater movement of life force. You will find the emotional body becoming more stable, less volatile, and from that place of emotional centeredness, you will be able to make better choices for yourself in those difficult moments. Now, we would like to take you through a small series of exercises, as we have done previously, to increase your self-mastery, self-control, and understanding. Self-mastery exercise 4, part A. In this exercise, imagine a tube of light, an energy conduit, extended down through the center of your body all the way to the center of the earth. See diagram 8. That's diagram 8. There's where you are connected, so to speak. Now, in your imagination, allow that tube of light to move upward and above the head as far into space as is appropriate for you at this time. Some of you will experience the pranic tube going only a short distance above the head, and some of you experience it going into other dimensions of the universe. Whatever way and however far it goes above your head does not matter. The distance will be appropriate for you at this time. With this accomplished, move your awareness into the heart center and allow yourself to breathe with your awareness focused at the heart. As you focus at the heart, imagine and sense celestial energy coming down from above and terrestrial energy coming up from the earth below so that the two meet in your heart. Oh, balancing emotional energies by connecting heaven to earth through the pranic tube. This allows the individual to self-ground, making emotional states easier to manage. Yes, let the two energies flow into the heart from above and from below, feeling the heart continuously in a combined stream. Whether you are inhaling or exhaling, whether you are pausing your breath or not, just experience a continual flow of prana moving downward and upward. The goal of this exercise is to get a clearer sense of the flow of energy of prana coming down from above and coming up from above. Coming down from above and coming up from below. Please pause and take about a minute to get a very clear sense of this flow of prana. This is the first part of the exercise. The exercise has 4 parts. So that was 8. Okay. B. The second part of this exercise does essentially the same thing, except that it adds an additional step. With your awareness on the heart and with the flow of prana coming from heaven and up from earth, simultaneously allow your awareness to be on your breath. Now, please notice when you inhale and when you exhale, and also when you pause between breaths. As you become aware of your breath, also be aware of the flow of prana moving downward and into your heart, as well as upward and into your heart. You have to be aware of many things. Whether you are breathing or pausing, notice that the pranic flow is continuous. While experiencing that continuous flow of prana into your heart, again, become attuned to the rhythm of your inhalation and your exhalation so that you have a sense of 2 separate flows. Notice the flow of the breath, which pauses and moves, and the flow of the prana through the pranic tube, which is continuous and does not pause. Do this for about a minute, getting a clear sense of the rhythm of the breath and also a clear sense of the continuous flow of prana through the pranic tube into the heart. After you have mastered this portion of the exercise and get a clear sense of continual flow of prana into your heart from above and below, while simultaneously noticing your breathing. Then stop a moment to observe that you are experiencing or sensing two vital activities: the rhythm of your breath for one, and the continuous flow of prana through the pranic tube for another. This achievement empowers you to add the third portion of the exercise, which uses the continual flow of prana while you go through different breathing patterns. One is a very rapid breathing pattern, one is a very shallow breathing pattern, and the third merely requires holding the breath. Perhaps you didn't know it, but these are the three primary breathing patterns that breath goes, ooh, goes through. Let me start over. Perhaps you didn't know it, but these are the three primary breathing patterns that breath goes through as you transit through different emotions. As you master holding a continuous flow of prana so that it is unaffected by the three different breathing patterns, you will be moving towards greater emotional stability. Part C, bring the prana flow down from over your head into the heart and then up from the earth into the heart as you breathe a very fast breath. Then take a slow breath. Then go to a pause while holding the breath. Throughout all three patterns, get a clear sense of the continuous flow of prana regardless of which phase your breath is in. Now resume normal breathing. Again, take a minute or two to practice these three breath phases. As you work with this exercise, you will discover that the prana can freely flow regardless of what breathing pattern you are in. This will allow you to become better stabilized regardless of the breathing pattern or emotional pattern in which you find yourself. Feel free to stop breathing and practice this three-phase breathing pattern until it is familiar. These three steps are your training ground for handling unexpected emergencies and emotionally chaotic circumstances wherever they may occur. When you can feel comfortable with these three phases, then add one more critical step. The fourth portion of the exercise will show you how to shift your focus into the pranic tube and ground it into the earth at a moment's notice. Okay, part D. Essentially, what you do is to immediately move your awareness into the pranic tube of the body. See diagram 8, page 109. And with your imagination, extend it all the way down into the center of the earth. As you do this, you will feel something pulling at the energy as if it's an anchor. For indeed, it is an anchor. Then allow the prana to flow. It is important to understand that by simply allowing the prana above the head to move downward into the heart and upward from the earth into the heart and intending it to be deeply anchored in the earth, you are grounding the pranic tube down into the very core of the earth. Sorry, guys. There's nothing else that you need to do. You do not make it happen. You allow it to happen. The prana immediately flows according to your intention. The intention is what is crucial here. The intention of holding the prana tube anchored in the core of the earth and allowing the earth energies to move up simultaneously as the celestial energies move down into the heart, stabilizes your emotions. Again, we recommend practicing this for a minute or two at a time. Please pause in your reading and try this exercise now, referring back to our directions as needed. Pause. Okay, guys, so pause the video and try to do what was explained. Rewind it and pause it, and rewind it and follow the instructions. What was your experience like? Did you sense or feel the anchoring? The wisest goal would be to practice these exercises on a regular basis until you have reached a point of mastery where you are able to shift your awareness into the pranic tube upon command. When you can ground it into the core of the earth and allow the two streams of prana to meet your heart, mastery of emotion is possible. Trying to imagine it. So practice this technique in the day-to-day situations in which you find yourself. Use it in situations where you may previously have become frustrated or angry, situations that may have triggered sadness, situations that brought up fear. Yes, practice this technique and you'll create an amazing sense of stability and groundedness in a way you may never have experienced before. From this place of power, you have the option of moving into a greater choice of alternative responses to a situation because you will not be swayed by emotions as in the past. An example of a practical application may prove helpful here. If you have a problem in a certain area in a particular level of experience, then one way of solving that problem is to deal with it at the level where the problem exists. Another possibility, however, is to either go below the level of the problem or to the levels above it so that you do not deal with the problem directly. Rather, you deal with it by going to levels above and below it that are not disturbed. This is essentially what you're doing in the technique when you are connecting the celestial realm of higher vibratory frequency, similar connecting to the terrestrial energies of the earth that have little to do with human problems, allows these two streams of energy to move into the pranic tube, which is their natural flow. You are not doing anything that does not already occur. What you are doing is expanding your awareness to include this energy channel of pranic tube or pranic tube. Being conscious of this energy core that extends through your body creates a way for you to stabilize your subtle bodies, stabilize your magnetic and electromagnetic fields, and stabilize the emotional bodies so that you find yourself responding to difficult situations from a place of balance. It will be a remarkable shift for some of you who feel as if you are frequently buffeted by chaotic emotions and your own seesaw reactions to life situations. Please know that mastery of the emotional body is not the same as the suppression of the emotion. The goal is to feel emotion deeply and fully in a balanced and integrated manner. Suppressing, denying feelings and emotions will not serve you. For those of you who already feel somewhat emotionally stable and generally unaffected by strong negative emotions in daily life, it is still a good technique to learn since there are massive changes underway for your planet. And what occurs in one area of the world affects the energetics of the other side. We see your world as one interconnected consciousness, one interconnected energy grid. Therefore, what occurs in Bosnia will affect energetically what occurs in New York. What occurs in New York will affect what happens in Mexico, in Africa, and so on. Whenever you have a large-scale energy phenomenon, such as many people dying from earth changes, war, or genocide, you will have an electromagnetic disturbance that moves throughout the entire grid. If you are able to balance yourself through this method of connecting to the pranic tube and allowing the pranic flow to be continuous, then you can stabilize yourself in situations that might otherwise throw you off center, so to speak. We realize that we have been quite intense about these exercises, so we trust that you realize their importance. They are such invaluable tools, so very simple and very effective. And yet, in order to master the process, you must use it. The exercises have to be practiced on a regular basis until you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you have mastered them. Relatively, near humans living in highly technologically developed countries have studied yogic techniques and other meditative practices well enough to claim that they have stable emotional fields under adverse circumstances, which is why we have come forth with this information. We believe these exercises provide us a fast, safe way to assist humans to achieve greater consciousness in everyday living. Please try them with personal commitment and persistence until you know they work for you as an energetic reality. And now, Virginia, what are your questions? Virginia. I don't know, man. I feel sleepy. Virginia has a lot of questions. I am so sleepy. Virginia, in this book, you are given a number of practical methods to exercises to help us retain stability in our emotional bodies during these challenging earth times. I'd like to ask where and when these exercises were developed, and did or do Hathors use them today? The Hathors. The exercises were developed in a group for the purpose of giving them as tools to humans at this time. The understanding of the energetics goes back to a fundamental understanding of magnetic fields, a knowledge that was used in the Temple of Hathor in Lemuria, in Atlantis, and even prior to that. All human forms have a magnetic field, a north pole and a south pole, and this pranic tube or column that runs through the middle of the body. This sentence doesn't sound complete. And this pranic tubal that runs through the middle of the body. That, I mean, anyway, so we develop tools specifically tailored for you at this time. They are offered as tools that may assist you. Today, we Hathors use them automatically. We don't even think. We don't even have to think about it. Virginia, it's become a way of life. Hathors. It's become a way of life and energetics for us. It happens so naturally for us as breathing. Virginia, do other civilizations use these exercises or practices? The Hathors. They still use something based on the same, and they will use something based on the same energetic principles, yes. Virginia. So in other words, as long as you retain any respect, any aspect of an emotional field, some kind of support is necessary. The Hathors. Yes, if you desire to have mastery of the emotional body, mastery, however, is not the same as control. The goal is not to suppress the emotional body, but to stabilize it. And energetics are definitely a part of this because Earth reality is very much a school of learning to master one's emotions without suppressing or controlling them. One of the things that beings definitely come to this planet to learn is to ride the energy emotion in a masterful way. Virginia, this specific emotional aspect, the Hathors, yes, it's part of the curriculum. Virginia, may we assume that the exercises could not possibly cause any harmful effects to people who use them? The Hathors, correct. They cannot cause harm if used as described, Virginia. And since they're safe since they're safe, would practicing them with a partner have value, doing them in groups, or is it better to always practice them alone? Hold on, guys, I have to pep myself up and then get a little Coca-Cola. I think if I had coffee now, it would be too late. I wouldn't sleep good tonight, so. Because I was falling asleep, y'all. I give the dog a snack. Yes, he finished it already. Raj, where you going? Okay, so the last thing Virginia said was, and since they're safe, but practicing them with a partner have value, doing them in groups. So is it better to always practice them alone? The Hathors. It depends on the person's temperament. Some people really can't sustain their practice unless they have a partner or a group. Therefore, it can be done individually. or with a partner or with a group, whatever facilitates it for the individual. The essential thing is to continue to work with it until it becomes an automatic reflex, until it becomes so much a part of you that you do not have to think about what to do in an emotional or chaotic situation. The goal of repetition, practicing, is to reach a point of mastery where emotions can be balanced at a moment's notice. Oh, I really feel like you see the same mastering yourself, mastering emotions. I think that's the key to quickening the evolution. It's the building block, because as your life expands with different people that are coming in, you guys will have to maneuver this. So it's important to understand how to look at things objectively, how to get back to your frequency. Yeah. Virginia, could you speak about the importance of sound as a preparation for understanding these energies that you bring? I'm aware that Tom Kenyon does toning using his wonderful 4.5 octave vocal range. Would it help for people to be in one of his seminars first and experience through his voice what these healing sounds are like? Would that also happen through a video or an audio tape? The Hathors. Hearing the sounds and feeling them in person is a superior way to receive the information, because more activation occurs when your physical body is in the same space where the sounds are being made. However, just hearing the sounds on either a video or audio tape would have a very powerful and positive effect. So they're saying being in the same space is better, but if you can listen to it on a video or audio, it will still have a powerful and positive effect. We do our work primarily through sound. The cognitive pieces we are giving you are less than 1% of what we offer. But it's important because not everybody can arrange to be in the same place, the same space where these sounds are being made. Hearing the sounds, however, is like putting on a turbocharger, to use your car analogy. Much more energy, much more power, much more speed. Virginia, yes, I'd like to inquire whether you have any advice on how we can use sound to help settle a crowd's emotions and chaotic feelings during times of major emergencies. The Hathors. There are two levels. One would be audible and one would be inaudible. If the group is coherent enough to understand and accept audible sound as a viable tool, then you can simply go into the space within yourself that is ever unchanging, calm, peaceful, and where the feelings of connectedness and love exist. It may be challenging to find that space yourself while going through a chaotic experience, but it is still there because it is the core of consciousness itself. So you could simply get in touch with that place and then make sounds that express that calming energy. And as people hear these sounds, it would register that calming state within them through the law of resonance. If you are in a group or situation where the audible sound is inappropriate, you can make the sound silently within and then radiate them outward from yourself. It will have a more subtle effect, but it will still be a positive one. Virginia. Now, one question that many people are asking today. In the human body, with all its DNA, RNA, and different cellular, genetic, and hereditary aspects, how can we use sound to stay well during the period of crisis where we have so many degenerative diseases? Thoughts. Well, you've asked a very, very complex question, Virginia. Yes, I know. And perhaps there's no single answer. Oh, the Hathors give a long answer here. Y'all get ready. Hathors. The fundamental reason for these degenerative diseases that you're mentioning, as we understand it, is the devitalization of the earth. At the beginning of time, the vitality of earth was very strong because of the glaciers. Glacial activity and the grinding and transformation of the rocks into minerals. The waters were highly mineralized, the soil was highly mineralized, and the oxygen level was higher. Your scientists have estimated that the present level of oxygen averages around 18%, whereas it was 30% several hundred years ago. With this tremendous decrease in oxygen levels, the amount of prana available was also decreased. And one might ask why this is happening. It is happening for many reasons, but in terms of human behavior, it is happening because you are decimating the forest, even the rainforest, and you're polluting the oceans so that the plankton or organisms which produce oxygen in the ocean are stunted. This part of the problem occurs wherever humans are so disconnected from the earth that they are destroying the very bedrock of their existence. Because most people are running around independently, pursuing whatever they're trying to achieve in their personal lives, there's often little cultural appreciation or contemporary understanding of the need to honor the Earth Mother. Consequently, there's mass decimation of these fundamental generators of oxygen, as well as a depletion of the mineral reserves through agriculture. So these are the two primary things that cause many of the negative conditions that as a civilization and as a planet you are experiencing. Oh, wow. The question of sound is a complex question because there are specific frequencies that will help with specific health problems. And many of your researchers are only now uncovering this therapeutic use of sound. In the coming decades, sound therapy is going to be a very big part of your medicine. It is true that you will discover how to use one frequency for this problem and another frequency for that problem. And where did I reach? Okay, it is true that you will discover how to use one frequency for this problem and another frequency for that problem. And ultimately, you will learn how to use sound to assist and heal those who suffer. But it is equally true that simply learning them and using them will not remove the deeper cause of much disease, which is your disconnection from the earth itself. This disconnection must be healed. But our answer to the question you're asking, what can an individual do for themselves with sound, is that a person can learn to apply what is called the law of fundamental tone. This law states that a fundamental tone rules over all other tones in relationship to it. In terms of music, for example, if you pull the damper of the strings of the piano so that all the strings can sound and you strike a note, say the note of C, then all those C notes that are above and below the note you struck will resonate. They will begin to sound through the law of sympathetic resonance, and this is the law of fundamental tone. So fundamental tone can set off resonances in other octaves. What this means, practically speaking, is that an individual can go to the place in their own consciousness where they are healthy, radiant, and have the attributes that they desire. By making the sounds from that higher state of consciousness on a regular basis, they can transmute those other conditions in the lower octaves because they have sounded the fundamental tone. So if you have an unhealthy situation, a condition to be changed, then you go into the place in your consciousness where you don't have that condition. When you find that place, you repeatedly make the sound, expressing that positive quality through your own voice. By doing this over and over again, eventually it will have a positive effect, sometimes even an immediately positive effect. That's kind of cool. I feel like I should, um, let me, hold on, I like this. Virginia, earlier in this chapter, you made the statement that the volatility of human emotions is likely to continue and surface into our awareness even more than before as Earth moves through her transitional phase of chaos into a new order. I wonder if you could describe what the new order is going to be like when we get there so that we can hold a positive image in our thoughts. Our thoughts. Okay, so the last thing I said was she was asking what the new order is going to be like when we get there for the Earth. So the Hathor's responses. The new order is a new order of time and space. It is basically an opportunity for individuals to pass through three-dimensional consciousness into four-dimensional consciousness and beyond. What it means occurs on many levels, so we will describe a few of its major attributes. One such attribute is that of instantaneous manifestation. In fact, you can tell that you're getting closer to the dimensional shift when the events in your life move faster and faster. And the length of time between the moment you think or say something until the moment it happens gets shorter and shorter. Many are already experiencing this. There will be a new appreciation of the earth, and the earth herself will go through a radical change during which she will become more conscious. There will be a global connectedness of beings. It will be as if all the humanity becomes one mind and one consciousness. We say the words as if to indicate that we're using a metaphor, but it will be as if there's just one consciousness operating with many diversities, many parts. There will indeed be a feeling of direct connection to one another and also to the earth. Virginia. So those are two major ways in which we recognize we're getting there. This quick manifestation and being of one mind seem to border on the miraculous. The Hathors, yes. It's perceived as a miracle by anyone who doesn't understand the principles behind it. But when one understands the laws that hold events together, and one understands the acceleration of time that takes place as one enters into another dimension, then it does not seem to be a miracle. It just seems the way things are. Virginia, perfectly normal, usual, the Hathors. That's right, Virginia. During the transformation, will the animals and plants be affected in the same way as humans? Hathor. The same thing will happen to them that happens to humans. The actual atomic activity of their bodies will shift, and they will oscillate at a much faster vibratory rate. And there will be a point where they oscillate back and forth between their bodily incarnation and pure energy. Really, Raji? You're going to be pure energy? He's going to be pure energy, which is one of their natures and their true identity. Oh my God. As they enter the subtler realms from their denser physical forms, then the oscillation will most likely accelerate. And at some point, they will be their pure energy forms. Virginia, I'm confused then. If some of them have a group soul, as has been suggested, how does this work? The Hathors. The transition into another dimension, as we understand it from our perspective, does not so much involve just the soul as it involves all levels, including the physical body. The soul is affected, yes. The soul experiences a much greater freedom in the fourth dimensional reality than it does in the third dimensional reality. Every level of self oscillates, moves, and vibrates faster. Let us put it this way. In our experience of ourselves with one another, we have form. We can touch each other just as humans do. But if you were to try and see us, we would be invisible unless you are clairvoyant and notice your fields of color and light. Sorry, and notice our fields of color and light, unless you tune into your specific perception of ourselves. In that case, you will see our forms because what we have done is to actually filter the perception of our energy bodies through your own self-image. Then that's what you will see. But our central nature in our higher dimension, in relationship to your third dimension, vibrates so fast that it is virtually invisible, or it's just a blur of light to you. It is like the propeller of a plane. When it sits still, you see the prop, but when it starts turning, you can't see it. It's sometimes a blur, like a disc. So it is the same in the relationship between the dimensions for animals and plants. As the plants and animals begin to vibrate faster, those who are in the third dimension will not see them anymore. However, those who are in the fourth dimension will see them because the frequency matches. Virginia, that reminds me, many people have thought going from the third to the fourth dimension was really wonderful, and they are excited about it. Then some influential people began to say that we're going to skip the fourth dimension and go right up to the fifth. So now I think there's an expectation people are setting up that the fourth dimension isn't so great. I wonder if you could clarify or comment on this, the Hathors. This is semantics. Well, we do not wish to step on anyone's toes, so let us say it this way. There are many different perceptions of what is going to happen. No one knows for sure because the shift never happened this way before. However, from our experience and understanding, we suspect that most people who make their transition will do it through the fourth. We may be proven wrong, but that is our expectation. But as we said, no one knows absolutely. Not even the archangels know exactly how this will turn out. Virginia, how come? The Hathors. Because there's so much happening so fast, and because in a way this has never happened before. As we've previously said, there are beings here from many different dimensions and realms observing the situation because it is so unique. But let us say one thing about human anticipation of shifting into higher dimensions. There are some who really believe that by going into the fourth dimension, they will leave their problems behind them. They feel this is the solution to life's dilemmas and that somehow everything miraculously will be transformed so that they don't have to deal with their current issues. These individuals are in for a surprise. Your issues continue with you in consciousness no matter what dimension you go to. It's simply that you work them out in the vibratory field of that dimension. So our advice to people at this time is very simple. Don't focus on what dimension you're going to go to, or even whether the dimensions are shifting. Focus on your capacity to love and forgive. Virginia, do it where you're at. Hathors, yes, do it where you're at. Virginia, well, that's fine. Thank you. Did you think of anything else on chaotic conditions and stabilizations that you want to mention? Hathors, just that people need to become friends with chaos because there will be much more before the system stabilizes. Hathor, by that comment, do you mean asteroids, pole shifts, or weather? Hathor, it's everything. Virginia, everything? Does anybody know all the details? Hathor, no, because it is ever unfolding. The great universe unfolds with such novel expressions of energy and consciousness that even the consciousness that created this universe is amazed and intrigued. Virginia, again, our thanks for this information. They say even the consciousness that creates the universe is amazed and intrigued. They don't even know what's going to happen because it's ever unfolding. That was amazing. Chapter 8 will be the next one we saw, and that's going to be the sacred elements. Let me see what chapters are. Okay, so that's it for today. I think the podcast is long again. I apologize if you didn't want to hear the beginning part. And I hope you can skip to the part that you want to get to, which is probably the reading of the chapters. I'm sorry about that. But I just felt drawn to talk about it. I hope you guys have a great day and a great week. And you are loved, and you know you are loved. The world is such a good place, a better place because you're in it. Let's try to love ourselves and love the earth. How about that? Let's intention to be more love for ourselves and more love to the earth and its beings. All right. I hope you have a great day, guys. Talk to you on next episode. Bye.